Hello, and welcome to Khyber Shards, a D&D 5th edition actual play show on the YouTubes.
You're not
I'm
Philip.
Eric. I'm not. I'm the notion that every Friday there's a video on this channel that doesn't include me is just maddening to me. So I'm taking over the show.
This has gone on long enough.
I demand justice. Due to scheduling woes, I am stepping in for Philip, as I have done before on the host's seat. But this time, I get the privilege of talking to Colin for Khyber Shards Answers. We're gonna dive into I want to talk about like the last episode, but also the last few episodes, because it's been a minute since you've been in the hot seat, and a lot happened in that interim.
That's true.
So Colin, what happened last time?
Wrong show.
Last episode, we obviously were introduced to the children that we are all playing as side characters, additional characters, and their introduction to the school and to each other and to Thora and Arlo, right?
Mm-hmm.
They meet Arlo? Yeah.
Yep.
Let's talk about Pip. First off, and I'm going to ask questions, but also we might answer questions before we get to them, or I might address questions out of order. Emily wanted to know about the creation of Pip and like stats, class, how it was built. So just to give the behind the curtains, we use the survivor rules from Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft to build the students, because it's a really easy, simple way that can't be broken like sidekicks can, where you can just pick a monster and make that a character, because that is easy to break. But Colin, talk about what type of survivor is Pip and why did you pick that?
Oh boy, that's a disappointing answer. He is a sneak, and the reason I chose that is because right before we recorded, I had to choose one. I had built out a character sheet for Pip.
I remember this. Yeah.
And I was fully in on him. I had created this character, and then not knowing how set dressing characters go, was not prepared when Philip just went, okay, so here's a link and choose one of these. And I went, but no, I got a guy.
Pick a stat block that can fit on an index card.
So sneak, and the reason for sneak was because of Pip's backstory. I guess we can just talk about that, because it's not like it's as much of a slow burn.
We didn't pick Eberron confidential secrets for all, or like Kara's not going to turn out to be a dragon secretly.
Philip's not here to stop us, so
that's true. We're running the ship now.
Yeah, all right. This is on you, big guy.
Look at us with our purple and pink backgrounds. We're crazy.
Unpredictable.
Who needs well-appointed maps on a wall?
The reason for sneak was it was the natural evolution for what had happened for Pip. He'd been disowned by his family when his mark overtook his eyes, and he has been just a street urchin. He's one of the newsies, and being able to
street rat
to blink around and steal what he needs. I forget sometimes that we can't make passing musical references with our group and just expect them to be let go.
I don't know why you would think that.
He's from sneak, and because spur of the moment they had to make a choice and had already written a backstory, so it required the least amount of change from who I had already made.
I love that. So I guess just kind of discussing Pip as a character. And Mia asked this specifically of like, when you were thinking of, okay, I get to make a new character, was there an intention? Because Pip seems like the opposite of Pog, like just in a lot of ways. And was that intentional on your part when you were creating his backstory and building out his full character sheet of like, I want to play something totally different? And Mia would like to know, if so, why?
Yes, although I can't say it was fully intentional. He is very different from Pog. I
Yeah.
thought it would be funny. Honestly, after hearing how much fun Randy had in campaign 1 of Eberron Renewed, playing just little people, I think is funny. Like those incredibly short classes that you get in D&D.
Yeah.
And like there's something about being in the world of D&D that just kind of has a foreboding to it. I guess reality also has that.
Yeah. What?
And
Foreboding? Past 3 years nonstop? What are you talking about?
and getting to play a gnome was an opportunity to not pay attention to that. And I thought that was kind of fun. The relentless optimism that race can allow you to indulge yourself in seemed like it would be fun.
Yeah.
And I have said before, I love Pog Harad. I love that dude. But it was literally just a chance to not have to think practically. I knew that I wasn't going to have to be Pip every week.
Yeah.
I knew that I wasn't going to have to be Pip for 3-hour recording sessions. And so, you know, who's something that would be fun to slip into. And and that's where I settled. I also thought that a snarky character would be pretty fun, considering that I play the emotional punching bag in Boggerod. It's kind of fun to just say things are weird. Just talk about how weird things are.
Yeah. Yeah. We're going to get into Pog's constant state of emotional trauma here in a bit. But speaking on Pip.
Existence is pain.
Mia also asked, were you at all anxious about playing a new character? Or was it just kind of a fun thing? Cool.
No, I wasn't, because it was us getting to have improv games.
Yeah.
Like that's having done a one-shot previously with Philip. I was far more scared the first few sessions that we sat down with me as Pog and going,
yeah,
I have to live in this person's shoes. I have to think this person's thoughts. And with Pip, I was like, nah, if it's terrible, Philip's just not going to call on him in class. So, you know, all I have to do is have a good time and hope that my fellow players enjoy his presence.
Outstanding. Laura had a question about Pip, and sorry, for the sake of my microphone, I'm going to do some adjustments. So she asked, how did you settle on that voice?
That was spoken like the person who had to do the audio balancing. The voice is the part that is simply the opposite of Pog.
Yeah.
I just thought it would be okay. I'll be completely honest with you guys. I've known Philip and Eric for the better part of my life, and I thought I could get him to laugh. It's really what it was. I thought I could get a chuckle out of my homeboys, and it seemed like it would be funny. And after I got after I got everyone to break a little bit the first couple times I spoke, I was like, okay, cool. So we'll just stay up here then. And this will work.
I love, so I'm gonna get into this real quick because it's Nathan had the question about, was there any coordination between players in creating their students, or was it pure coincidence to have 2 male gnomes, 2 female elves? And we'll get into the rest of Nathan's questions here in a second. I love that there was zero coordination between any of us, and we have created 2 pairs of polar opposite people that are like the same, like 2 female elves that could not be more different, 2 male gnomes that could not be more different. And then you get into the then interactions of like when Kara and Casey's character's name is inscrutable to me. I can never remember unless she is saying it at me. I can never remember how to pronounce it. Nasaria, I'm gonna go with. But when they were having their conversation, and Pip walked in and just started talking, and it was just like this interjection of like bubbly energy, I guess, into this very like, but in a completely different way than Casey was playing. So it's a really, really fun dynamic to get to play with.
It was interesting how with all of D&D available to us at our disposal, we wind up making the exact same and polar opposites at the same time.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah. Are Pip and Pog going to be friends?
That's a tougher question than it probably should be, because I have a hard time imagining someone that Pog wouldn't be friends with. You know, you have to earn your way to not be someone that Pog would be cool with. But also, Pip is a student.
Pip's a kid and Pog's a grown up. Like, that's also a dynamic worth.
Ish. I mean,
yeah.
he's an older kid. Depending on if this was the kind of school that I went to as a child, then we would still be attending the same school.
Yeah,
we just wouldn't be going to the same classes. I think more than age, because where Pog is very regressive, Pip is probably very progressive emotionally, so they're probably not too far off of each other. But Pog has over this campaign had to do a lot of growing up and finding his new position. And so where he's at now, while he's not the member of the party the most sold on being a part of the school, it is a responsibility that he has accepted. So friendly, not friends, I don't imagine.
Gotcha. Looking for other Pip questions real quick before we get into everything else. So yeah, I guess just from in general, because you know we got to play our characters for an entire episode, and I guess with the idea of Pip and Pog being friends, because in my brain when I think about like Ari and Kara's dynamic, because somebody pointed out, oh no, Kara is a Rainy, she's going to be able to spot Ari's armor and like know what's up with that. It's difficult because you can't really have a conversation with Pog and Pip without it being an awkward thing to play, right? Like,
right.
And so the level of interactions that our students are going to get to have with our characters, I think, is going to end up being fairly limited just from like a practical standpoint, because I don't want to hear myself talk back and forth in different middling accents for that long. I know some people do, and I appreciate all of you. Patreon.com/thegeekpantheon.
That's the requirement. You have to want to hear Eric talk to himself.
Yes. But yeah, I mean, I guess if you wanted to establish a relationship between Pog and Pip, how would that play out, do you think?
I think it would actually be very challenging to play, as you said, mostly because Pog's interpersonal strength is that dude is a great listener.
Yeah.
And Pip has a life that has led him to be desperate for someone to talk to. So that would probably work pretty well between the two of them.
So you could probably play it really well. You just have Pip talk for like 5 minutes, the Pod go, yeah, okay.
Don't I know it, brother?
Nice.
You are super ready for the Freaky Friday where we all play each other's characters. You've got it down, man.
I've got Pog locked in. Yeah.
So yeah, that's
okay.
Sorry, I was good there. Like I think,
okay, cool.
I think it would be tough, and I just don't know what would get them to that place.
Yeah.
Pog's probably not going to be leading any child therapy sessions.
I don't think he should. No offense to Pog, but
No, that's why he wouldn't find himself there.
Okay, so I want to talk about the handful of episodes prior to the last one with, just the long no good day that everybody had. Well, Ari had the long no good weekend that the rest of you got to experience. But we very clearly saw, especially once the group got into Shaytir Astalai, and just, I hope this isn't a shock to anybody. Colin and I talk when we're not on the show together, and we talk about our D&D characters sometimes. So some of these questions are coming from an informed place of like, hey, we talk about stuff. So I was wondering if you wanted to talk a bit about the fact that, like, a lot of heavy stuff was happening back to back to everyone else's characters. And by virtue of that, Pog, I don't want to say had to take a back seat, because Pog had some wonderful moments over the course of that arc. Tragically, especially in the lost episode. but Emily specifically calls out like the moment of Ezri's death, and Pog trying to and you as the player of Pog trying to emotionally process that and not doing it and denying it and trying to like wake him up. And so let's go and dive into Emily's question and then kind of expand into a broader discussion of like Pog felt like he very much went into himself a lot over the course of this arc, as like a lot of stuff was happening, and Ari was having to share his experience in the Feywild, and Ezra was having to share his experience in the Beyond, and Shade dealing with the Sphinx. And yeah, it just seemed like Pog either, and this is what I would love for you to speak on, overwhelmed, just not wanting to get in anyone's way, like Pog's emotional state. But let's start with the lightest of the topics, Ezri's death. Yeah.
Well, while it was 4 days for the rest of us, Pog did no. I mean, including that day, Pog did have a no good, awful, terrible one day, and that's where he was when Ezri died.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of conversation very carefully between Eric and I about the dynamic between Pog and Ari, and how it's changed. And we've very consciously not nurtured a return to its form. But also been kind of sad that it's taken the natural growth apart.
I like playing with you, Colin.
Same. It's just, Pog and Ari aren't where they were, and we can't force it to go back. And so with that in mind, it's like that friend that you ought to text, that person that you really should reach out to, but they're still there. So you'll get to it because you're still not over everything.
Yeah.
And then he wasn't.
Yeah.
And more startlingly, then he was.
He was. Yeah.
Like that was terrible. And I played that with a genuine intent of Pog wants to sit and talk right now. This is not okay. None you appearing, you existing and having not existed. None of this is okay. You dropped in a fight.
Yeah.
And then the most that Pog could do to address it was to hug Ari.
Yeah.
And then it was, let's keep going.
Yeah.
Which makes sense, but that's I'm unresolved here.
No, I'm with you. Yeah. Because like I'm very much the same way. Like when Ari showed up, it was like I have all of the word vomits to like tell you all. And also Ari has had some like emotional revelations about like the realization that it happened. He was forgotten, and having to witness everybody around him like relive like this is Ari's horrible perspective on it. Like every time Ari says that poem to like his close people, not like Thora, but
Right.
like Pog and Shade and Ezri, like he's witnessing them experiencing all of the trauma that Ari has put them through in a like that. And how
Right.
awful is that to like, and so it's not lost on Ari. But yeah, it sucked a whole heck of a lot. And yeah, Ari was with you. He wanted to sit down and talk. And the perspective of like that friend that you should text, I love that for Ari and Pog, because to describe Ari and Pog, I don't love that for Ari and Pog. Because it, at least from Ari's perspective, it's that like you're waiting on the apology to come because you feel like you're owed an apology. And then you take time to process and you realize that maybe you are the one that's in the wrong, and there's no middle ground. Of course, it's not maybe we both like had some no, it's like either it's them or it's me. And then once
Right.
you land on it's my fault, well, now I'm a piece of trash who hasn't contacted them, so maybe I shouldn't because they haven't tried to contact me, and so maybe they're just as mad at me as I was at them, but now I've pushed it out so far. And so it just becomes this spiral of like distance between two people who were extremely close.
Yeah. And you combine all of that with, while player Colin makes a lot of jokes about having to go in and finish the fight. That's Pog's role. And he knows that every time we go out, that there is a good chance that Ari will require his assistance, that Ezri will require his assistance, and relishes that role and responsibility. But then, coming off that emotional fragility of the return of Ari, then to Pog's mind, failing to protect Ezri. And in that moment, it was Pog that was down in it with Ezri. That it failed, and it killed one of my family. That's all that I have. And while Pog has that sense of hesitance about getting into the school, Ezri's also the only other one who's ever out loud said that. And in the gap of Ari and Pog, we've had some really nice moments of Ezri being a person who disapproves out loud and helps no matter what. And man, it was a lot of responsibility. And so Pog did the very first thing which he could do, which is help kill everything that had just taken someone from him. And then it was like, this was 20 minutes, 30 minutes. I just got Ari back. I'm not losing Ezri now. This can't happen. This simply cannot. So yeah, it was a lot. And then a very intentional choice to kind of just let the rest of that adventure happen around Pog. You and I discussed privately that no one else at the table may realize that was the most that Pog has been hurt without going down. I mean, Pog dropped to 1 HP by the end of everything. And so it had taken everything out of him. So it was tough. It was a very, very bad day for our boy Pog Harad.
Yes, it was.
Thanks for that, Philip.
Well, I
appreciate all the trauma.
Well, and I did want to also just kind of pick your brain on, so you obviously, like, from an in-character perspective, you can explore like the emotional reasons why Pog went internally, went into himself, and kind of took a step back in terms of the story in that moment. But from a metatextual standpoint, did you as the player Did you feel any kind of, I don't want to say pressure because pressure is the wrong word, but any kind of inclination to do that in a justifiable way because there were such heavy things happening for the other three characters simultaneously? Like,
Oh,
uh,
absolutely. Yeah.
okay.
Because there would have been, and there's a lot of thought about that as the rookie at the table. Because at a certain point, like the crap that everybody else was dealing with was literally on an existential level,
Yeah.
on a serious level. So for Colin to try to find a way to interject Pog would have just been selfish. And
Yeah.
outside of this being a YouTube show, is the idea of we're sitting at the table, we're playing a cooperative game together.
Yeah.
No, I don't need to be a part of everything. Some of my favorite scenes, my character hasn't been in the room for, and
Yeah.
to just get to sit and watch great players play is one of my favorite things about getting to be on this show. The conscious player decision was uh Pog followed Shade out, and then Colin was like, "Oh, but see, Ari and Shade are gonna like they're gonna have a moment, and those
Mm.
are really good moments to play." So Pog's just gonna make sure that Shade's not like breaking down or
Yeah.
clawing
Yeah. Yeah.
anything, and then we'll just go entrusting Shade's
Yeah.
well-being to Ari. So I don't have any problem with being in the room, just being
Yeah.
present. I really enjoy it.
Well, I think it's an interesting dynamic, especially for us, given our background as, performers. Um, like not only just theater, but we did improv in college. Apologies to everyone. Um, and
You're welcome.
we
Means
we were trained to be on. Like if there is an audience, then energy, face, movement, like constant. Um, and I think that oftentimes, especially from like an improv setting like D&D, where like you get the good joke, like you get the good joke in your head, but you try to find the balance of like, is this the right moment for that joke? Is it appropriate to interject here? And I think that something that I try to like keep track of in my brain is where is my character? Like if we're all at the mansion and I said that Ari is like in the library looking something up, and then you and Shade are having a really cool scene out near the trees, it's like, okay, this is a really cool scene, but Ari's in the library, so Ari's not a part of this. And that's a good way for me
right.
to like keep myself in check of like, um where is my character and why can't they be in this scene right now?
And as
So
far as the improv side goes, I think the thing that most of us tend to fall into on the selfish side, we all love the attention of participating in something,
yeah.
but the only way that any of that really lands is through the art of active listening. And
Yeah.
you can't be a true participant if you're just waiting your turn to talk.
Yeah.
There has to
And
be a reason for you to speak.
I think a valuable lesson that we were taught, like during our theater careers, by Dr. A, shout out, big fan, I know,
Allah.
is uh, you can be on stage and you could be doing something compelling without drawing attention. Because if you're not the one like actively engaged in the scene, then people should not be looking at you. But if they do, they should find something worth looking at. And I think that's a skill that was really ingrained in us at an early, I say an early age, but yeah, I mean, we were like 18, so that was a very long time ago. Uh, um,
Well, my first role in college, which lines up with this idea, was in Pirates of Penzance, Gilbert and Sullivan, the musical.
yeah,
And I was a chorus pirate, and we all got to develop gags because we're on stage for so much. Um, and so that was a really great opportunity for me to try to find things that would get people to laugh while
yeah,
also adding to the overall. Like my character had an eye patch, And if you're familiar at all with the story of Pirates of Penzance, they're not really pirates. They're a bunch of rich people just who enjoy being pirates. So he's got an eye patch. And then when I get cheated at cards, I raise my eye patch and I take it off.
Classic.
And I put it back on over the wrong eye. And if there's 100 people in the audience, 99 of them didn't see it.
Yeah.
And
you hear that
the
one chuckle.
that did, and you can see the lean over of, notice his eye patch.
Yeah.
The side of his eye patch is different, and didn't take away at all. And so being a part while not needing to be in charge.
Yeah.
Especially when knowing when you don't have anything to add is a very important aspect, because rewatching those episodes and listening, I was like, yeah, I made exactly the right call to just be present for this, because I'm witty enough that I've got some jokes that came through, or some interjections that seemed valuable, but they weren't important.
And that's one thing I love.
The story got to live better.
Yeah. And that's one thing I love about like the watch parties and like hearing from Philip when he's editing, is when he spots those moments from like us of like the silent eye roll or the face or something that we just make, like your eye patch bit, where it's just like, nobody's going to be watching my little square right now, but for the couple of people that do, it's going to be gold. So, yeah. Anyway, Emily asked about Ari's sword having a name. It does. Remembrance is the name. I think I may say it in an upcoming episode, or I know I haven't made a big like, this is Remembrance, my sword. So yeah, Remembrance is the name of the sword. I mean, I guess we can get this out. Which party member would it hurt your character most to lose permanently, and why is it Ezri?
Well, it's not, because I already have lost Ezri, so emotional distance Pog has been engaged. I'm gonna say it'd be Cal.
Yeah.
It'd be the hardest to lose.
You know, for Ari, you know, we're really defined by our challenges and like the people that oppose us most in life. So I feel like Ari having too easy of a go of it would, you know, just hinder his development. No, I mean, at this stage and where Ari is at, and like the way things have played out prior to his disappearance and now having disappeared, it would probably right now be Shade. Like, I don't know if Ari would be able to come back from Shade dying or being lost or whatever. So yeah, that's where Ari's at right now. Is Pog's back okay? I'm concerned about him sleeping on eggs.
No,
if they're placed rightly, it can be therapeutic, you know, it's in the right spot.
But they were not. Pog is not well educated in the world of lumbar support. And he's having major back pains all the time.
Who's been making bacon for Pog while Ari's gone? I think you all went to the Ship's Cat for bacon, right?
Yeah, we went to the Ship's Cat. Yeah.
Nice.
I forget her name.
Harish.
Harish from the Ship's Cat. That's who. Yeah. You thought you got us there, didn't ya? We have a canon answer for where the bacon's been coming from.
Gotcha. Since we're jumping all over the place, I'm just going to ask all these questions so you don't have to try to follow along with my madness in the Discord, Colin. How does Ari deal with Unity dinners if no one remembers him? I guess they probably welcome anyone. It just seems so sad. It is sad. You know, some people probably like remember his face, like, oh yes, you're the one that brought the green bean casserole last time. Come in. But you know, yeah, he enjoys the energy and getting to hang out with these people, even if they don't have a strong recollection of who he is. And yes, it is very sad, but not anymore. You know, yay. I think we only have a couple more questions. Colin, toilet paper roll end, over or under? There's a right answer.
Over.
Yes, over is the right answer.
There is no other option. If I'm at your
Underism.
house and you go under, I will take your toilet paper off. Even if I'm not using it, I will take your toilet paper off and flip it
Fix it for
correctly
you. Yes.
because I care.
Okay. If you, from an attribute score standpoint, if you in real life had to have a 20 in one attribute and 6s in the rest, what would they be?
Whoa.
So like supernatural level of strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, or charisma. But the rest you're not average. You're like subpar, barely functioning at.
In the real world?
Yes, like you call it
2022?
Yes, you call it charisma.
Charisma. No question. I would be rich. I would be famous. I would inevitably become a politician. Charisma. I don't need to be smart. I like nothing about where we are in the world requires intelligence.
Values anything but charisma.
Someone to succeed. Just charismatic. 20. Easy.
That's
Easy
fair.
question.
That's fair. You're gonna be dead at 25 because you have a 6 constitution, but because that means you have what? Like a -4 to your con modifier. So every time you level up, whatever you might lose hit points if you roll a 1.
Oh no! Oh no!
You're just slowly declining.
That's literally just real life, though. Every single day,
fair enough.
I'm decaying a little bit more.
Oh my goodness. I'd probably do wisdom. Probably that's what I'm deficient at in real life. So fantasy, Eric, like get a 20 wisdom. Know what's going on at any given moment.
Yeah, but without the charisma to get anybody to listen or impact any of it.
I'm just trying to live my life, man. Like, who is your favorite villain and why? And then favorite hero
Batman.
and why? Batman is your favorite villain. Okay.
Absolutely.
Nice.
Yep.
Love it. Who's your favorite hero?
Deadpool.
Okay. Why is Batman your favorite villain?
Well, because Batman is the cause of all of his own problems.
Yep.
Yep. And
except for the dead parents. I mean, that wasn't on him, but everything else, sure.
Well, I mean, if he would have just sat through the movie, then
that's true.
It's like I don't want to blame the children because I have a startlingly similar issue to my having lost a parent as a child, where if I could have just not been a brat, maybe. But he's the architect of his own complications, and that's so valid and so real for me.
Yeah.
That I find that immensely relatable. Mixed with the right amount of rich guy fantasy, because his money has been able to buy success, but it hasn't been able to buy happiness.
Yeah. And for me, the villain aspect of Batman is that he has all this money and he uses it to fuel his like the most
narcissism,
the most destructive way he could possibly process the death of his parents.
Absolutely.
Instead of actually trying to help anyone.
Yeah.
So, yeah. My favorite villain is Emperor Palpatine because it's the only villain that knows he's a villain, and I love that. He's just evil and he digs it. And he has unlimited power.
Yeah. That was really good.
Thank you. Favorite hero. That's a tough one for me. Just because heroes run the gamut and ones that I enjoy, and I like different ones for different reasons at different points.
Yeah.
But probably oh god, probably Geralt of Rivia. I really like the Witcher stories, and I like the Witcher games, and I like the Witcher show, and I like his brand of hero of like, the mercenary who's out to make a buck but has too big a heart to actually stick to that credo. I find that to be
accidentally cares.
Yeah, it's like I wish I didn't care. Like, so yeah. what would happen if you discovered the villain and hero traded places? What would the new story be? So if Batman and Deadpool traded places, Colin, what would I'm just thinking about the Witcher series with like Ian McDermott just walking around the take this,
He would kind of fit in.
Yeah.
If Batman and Deadpool traded places, can you imagine Deadpool as a billionaire? Like, that would be the worst week ever.
Yeah, right.
Just hard drugs is what would happen. Well, I think that I can safely say that Deadpool would not be any worse than Bruce. If for no other reason than he would kill everyone that Bruce didn't, that he just keeps throwing back in Arkham.
That's true. Deadpool would actually kill the villains that are causing problems.
So like New 52 would have lasted like 25 issues, and then I don't know, man, maybe Gotham becomes the happiest place on earth after that.
And Bruce Wayne would have died of cancer. That's how that's. Well, he doesn't have the X gene.
He couldn't have survived. Yeah, he would have died very quickly because Deadpool is literally dying every second of the day. So yeah.
So I mean,
it would be over fast.
To quote the Hulk, I see this as an absolute win. So the Batman fans are just gonna be in the comments.
You can tap me on Twitter. I can take it.
We got a lot of questions. I'm going to try to knock out a few rapid fire because we are running long.
Speed running.
Remember when we talked about KSAs and we're like, 15, 20 minutes. That's about the length they're going to be. Laura wanted to know, if your character was a sim, what career path would they take?
I had an answer for this, and we've talked a lot since then.
Mine for Ari is social media influencer because nobody would remember him, and I find that funny.
That's so good. Oh, that's so good. How am I supposed to come up with an answer that's better than that? Secret agent.
Yeah.
Secret agent for Pog. It wouldn't go well.
It's the opposite of all of his skill sets.
He's just a giant half orc that leaves.
He can turn invisible.
Flaming corpses.
He can turn invisible.
That is true.
So,
but then as soon as someone asks, "Did you hear that?" he would go visible and go, "Hi, I'm Pog.
I did. I heard that.
Very sorry. Very sorry to have knocked over your weapons here."
Emily asked, assuming Dicer doesn't kill all the students, which student strike force interaction are you looking forward to the most? So, which combination of students? I'm very much looking forward to Ezri and literally any of them, because Ezri does not seem like somebody who wants to interact with children.
That will not go well. I don't think Ezri has actually thought out the fact that kids are going to be here at this school one day.
I think he's made it pretty clear that he doesn't want to be there. I think he's thought about it and he's like, well, the other three are here, so I guess whatever. I look forward to Pip and Ezri for just personality reasons. I look forward to Kara and Ezri for multitude of reasons because Kara's an rainy elf, and we just learned a lot about Ezri and why that would be a problem. And just the energy that Nasaria brings also just I do not feel like Ezri's going to enjoy any of them except for his own student, which he can't interact with. So okay. I think that's where we're going to call it. We had a couple other questions, but I think we need to call time and tap out and whatnot. So Colin, I hope this was a very scattered discussion, but I hope you had a good time. I hope all of you had a good time with me in the driver's seat. Be sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video. If this is your first video on the channel, hoo boy. Hi.
Why?
Not only who boy, but how did you make it this far? This has all been inscrutable nonsense for 40 minutes.
This is your first video. This has been insufferably self-indulgent.
But thank you for watching. Subscribe to the channel. But if you're not subscribed, because YouTube tells me that a lot of you aren't subscribed that watch these videos, so maybe you should subscribe. And
it's free.
Yeah, we'll be back on Monday with more Khyber Shards. So stick around and check that out. Also, there's a bunch of other videos on the channel if you want to check those out. Also, with this guy, link like videos over there. One of these directions, the little sidebar thing, the algorithm, all hail, will point you in the right direction. So, yeah, Colin, anything left to say to the people?
Thanks for watching, and thanks for asking questions. We appreciate y'all greatly.
You can find this guy over on Twitch. Sorry, BTR, the O is a 0 whenever he feels like it. And Tuesdays, is that the
usual?
Yep. So doing the new Life is Strange True Colors. And yeah, so excited to hang out in your chat and annoy you while you try to play a very sincere game. So go check that. And Game Pass Guru. Also, you have all the things now. You got a YouTube channel, Game Pass Guru.
I'm everywhere.
If you like video games that you don't have to pay for, go check that out. And yeah, all right. I think that's all the plugs. Bye.